I want to thank everybody for being here and joining us in the summit, and especially joining us in this panel conversation talking about the Solidarity Dividend, which is an exploration of the last chapter of The Sum of Us. Again, my name is Mandy Lee. I'm the facilitator for today's panel. And if you've attended any of the other book discussions that I've hosted, this one is going to be a little bit different. First of all, I have a script. You know, I usually go by the seat of my pants, but out of respect for our presenters, today I have a script. And I really hope that you enjoy this, this experience. We've mentioned it a number of times, but Heather McGee actually opens up her book with the sentence, "Why can't we have nice things?" Then each chapter explores the history of different structures and systems in the United States, such as housing and student debt, how policies rooted in racist ideologies have defined these systems and structures, and how those have impacted all of us negatively at the end of the day. What's really important about this book, though, is that she's sharing the stories of the people impacted by these policies from all over the country, both from the BIPOC perspective and experience, as well as from the white perspective and experience. And I felt like it was necessary to make sure that when we're talking about the Solidarity Dividend, that we bring the voices and of the people with lived experience here in Pierce County to the conversation, because we cannot talk about solidarity without the valuable insights of people who are directly impacted by the systems and structures that are in place. So today we have two community members from the Pierce County Community Engagement Task Force. There is an initiative called the People's Bureau, and Amanda and Marvin are two speakers from the Speakers Bureau. The purpose of this initiative is to, I stole it from their website, the purpose is to really reintroduce community to community. And I think that's beautiful, because that's what we're here to do, is to bring folks with lived experience to share their stories and experiences living in our community. So those of us with who have a different lived experience bring more empathy and compassion when we have the opportunity to make change that affects us all. So today we have Marvin and Amanda speaking and sharing their stories. As you listen, please feel free to send messages or comments or questions into the chat. We'll have time after Marvin and Amanda speak to ask those questions. All right, everybody ready? Super excited. Marvin, would you like to go first and share your story with us?
Yeah, sure. My name is Marvin, 38, born in Memphis, Tennessee, but raised here in the Pierce County, Tacoma, Washington. You could say I had like a growing up promising life, you know, teenager having fun, don't worry about troubles out in the streets, playing sports, have friends, not worried about society whatsoever. My life starts changing around 26, 27, when I have fell in the cracks of using meth. I've been homeless in about that time. I've been incarcerated about 16 times here in Pierce County. The battles that I had in the streets was I couldn't get the right connections to get myself out of it. They gave me so many running rounds about connect here, do this, do that, but really never, I felt like they never really listened to my side of the story, of my side of what I really want help in. And they just kept pushing me to the side. I don't know if it was a racial thing. I don't know if it was just me being a male or me just being gay or what's what, or just being on drugs. I just felt like every time I went for help, they just had me as a lost cause and just pushed me off to the next and just put me in the system. I really didn't find the help that I needed until I had joined the Pierce County AIDS Foundation. They gave me a sense of direction to look at. They gave me a way to build my own purpose through other programs that they had under them. So I joined them. And then I started going to TCC. When I went to TCC, that's when I met Amanda and other classmates that gave me the real validation of who I am. So battling in the streets, there was really nobody out there really doing much reaching out and like showing their face over and over and over again because I had trust issues. But if somebody comes out there in the streets looking for me on a day in and day out, then I'm gonna build some type of trust. At least I'm gonna feel like you care, to try to help me out. But there was none of that. So I have lost all trust of everything in society, everything, and I had to find it, through my own walk, which was hard. Um, so now that since I'm affiliated with the task force, I am honored to be here to speaking with you guys. It's just giving me more validation in my life that I have changed. I'm doing things more better in my life, more opportunities are opening up. I'm creating my own opportunities. I don't look at anyone as a failure. I look at everybody as an opportunist. Everybody have a chance to overcome their challenges, as long as if they have that one person who's willing to take that challenge with you. And I found that in my life. I found that through PCAF. I found that here in through another guy affiliated with Project Open Doors at one point. I found it through TCC. I found it through Amanda, and now I'm finding it with you guys. And I appreciate it so much because not only being a gay African American, with that stigma, I'm still following with other stigmas saying that we are illiterate. We don't have ability to learn education. We don't have the ability to find jobs or hold a job. We don't have the ability to hold a relationship. We don't have the ability to get out the drug world. We don't have the ability to get out the jail system. But I'm here to say, yes, you can. I went through all of those troubles and I had ever overcame every single obstacle that society wanted to portray on African Americans. So we, as an African American, we do have a voice more powerful than we ever thought before. So I'm glad to speak up, on the behalf of the African Americans, behalf of the African American males, behalf of the gay population, that we do have a voice and we do have opportunities to move forward and overcome and change all of our aspects of our life, because nobody can change your perception but you. Everybody has their own perception, but in my opinion is nobody's perceptions matter but mine. I changed my own trajectory of my life. I changed everything in my life. So what you change what's inside of you, it will show around you. And I am grateful for where I'm at now. I've been clean over 2 years now off of meth. I've been holding the job down over a year. I've been housed for 5 years. Um, I have good relationship with my family, friends. I'm in the human services program at TCC, and I'm doing very well in each one of my classes. So being a part of this and telling my story, it's it's wonderful. I bless God every day that to be able to tell my story, and I thank you so much for letting me be part of this. And I really do hope somebody take heed to this and apply it to their life. That everybody, no matter what shade of color you are, we all have an opportunity to overcome something. You just need that one person who really care and to help you push forward. So thank you.
No, Marvin, thank you. It is such an honor to have you here today. Thank you so much for sharing your story, to share your experience and being vulnerable with us. The fact that one of the things that we forget, I think, is that there is an intersectionality to everything. Being a Black man is compounded upon by being a gay Black man because of the stigma in our community, in all of our communities, being homeless, having a substance use disorder. All of those things get compounded and compacted, and then we forget to look at you as a human. We forget that you are a person that would be so easy for us to help. But that's the reason why you are here is to help remind us, to bring us back, to put us back in our place, and to help us all as a community change the policies, change the system, so that we don't let another person fall through the cracks. We prevent this. So thank you.
Thank you.
You have some wonderful comments in the chat too when you have a chance. Amanda, would you like to speak and share your story now? And sorry, I'm going to cry. Both Amanda and Marvin are beautiful people, and it's just to see, anyways, y'all know how I am if you've been in other conversations with me.
Well, don't start crying, because then I'm going to cry and then we're all going to cry. And if you recognize that famous movie line, you're my new best friend. So my name is Amanda. And just a quick little disclaimer, I like to let people know my last name is Walking Stick, but I am not Native American. My husband is. I am as white as they come. And so I first ended up homeless at 14. But my trouble started long before then. My father was incredibly abusive. My stepmom was emotionally abusive. She had severe untreated bipolar. And my birth mom is a severe addict. And it was really difficult growing up and all that. The first time I ran away was 5th grade. It was an epic failure. I just ended up right back at school and back home. But it really kind of stuck with me, like I could leave if I really wanted to. And so at 14, I did. And I went to a friend's house. The police picked me up the next day. They knew where I was. And I went home. And about a week later, I ran away again, back to her house. I couldn't take it anymore. At that point, I had called CPS on my family twice, and every time they ignored everything going on. Again, we're a white family. My dad had a decent amount of money and a decent amount of power in his nice position at Microsoft. So we were brushed off constantly. So I ran back to this friend's house, stayed a couple days, and then her parents were like, look, legally, we can't let you stay here. You have to go somewhere. So a friend of ours took us to downtown Seattle. And I stayed the first night in Freeway Park on the bench right above the waterfall for the first snow of the season. No snow clothes, no gear, one thin blanket, and that was it. But I was hooked. I found my home. I made friends and family who I believed loved me unconditionally. I had people to protect me who cared for me. Even though I was in one of the most dangerous situations a small, tiny girl could be in, I felt safe and I felt happy. And that's where I stayed. It was back and forth between my parents' house and trying to work things out and then just going back. It was a lot of drugs, violence, and sexual abuse. But it was normal to me. I went out so early that it was just like, okay, let's go. I tried to get help. There were several times throughout my stay on the streets, which, by the way, I didn't get off the streets until I was 20. So that's a good 6 years. I grew up there. And I'd have jobs that I couldn't hold because, I can't charge my alarm clock. I'm not sleeping at night. I'm constantly on guard. I got my dog when I was 19. And she was kind of like the first start for me. Like, okay, there's something else. You have this dog. The dog deserves better. I'm not thinking about myself, just the dog needs better. So we ended up hitchhiking down to Berkeley, California. And I stayed in a shelter for the very first time. I had never stayed in a shelter before because I was terrified. There's no protection. There's fights, everything. Like, I was just scared, but I wanted to get my dog inside. So I did it. And it was a disaster. I had a plate thrown at my head for no reason. And I was attacked by one of the girls there who she had constantly stealing stuff. There was a problem. And they banned her for 3 days. And I was talking to my case manager and I was like, why is she coming back? After everything, why is she coming back? And my case manager said, well, she needs help too. And I asked her, well, she's making it unsafe for me to get help. I need help as well. And the caseworker looked straight into my eyes and said, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do to help you. And the other girl, she was Latina and I was white. And when people look at me on the streets, they think, oh, you poor little girl, but that's okay. You'll be okay. Somebody's going to come get you. Nobody ever came to get me. I got off the streets because 2 women in California who identify as Black, white, and Native took me in, and they saw something in me. Now, these women are closed off. They've had a rough life. They don't trust anybody, as I'm sure a lot of you could understand, but they saw something in me. They brought me in. They provided me a foundation to grow from. There were no requirements for me to live with them. I just needed to focus on myself and become better. They taught me how to love myself. They taught me how to work through my depression, how to cope with my anxiety and my PTSD and everything. And from there, I blossomed. It was a long, hard road getting to the point where I am now, integrating into society, uplifting voices, and just trying to make a difference. You know, for many years, I didn't leave my apartment. I got myself to a good point, but I was still different. And they have been by my side every step of the way. They did for me what no program and no person ever could. They helped me build the foundation and let me spread my wings. And that's really what we need from the community and from programs that are being offered. We need everybody to come down and level with people in challenging situations on their terms, in their way, and help them the way they need it, not the way everybody thinks it should be done, because everybody's different. And taking that extra time and giving that extra little piece of your heart and love makes all the difference. And the beautiful thing about love, you can make as much of it as you want and give it away freely. You just have to choose to.
Thank
I
you,
love
Amanda. Oh, ending on a solid note and such an important message as well. Thank you so much. You both are amazing individuals. And I know you have achieved so much in your lives because of your strength and your resilience in the face of policies and structures and systems and programs that were created to oppress all of us. So thank you so much for your bravery, your courageousness, and your vulnerability today and sharing your stories. So in previous book discussions, we usually would break out into small groups at this point, and each small group would have the opportunity to discuss what's going on. But the solidarity dividend is about coming together. Dividend is literally the distribution of profits by a corporation to all of its shareholders. So in this case, I want to keep us in one big group and talk about how can we create a solidarity dividend? What are some areas that are key to improving life for everyone in Pierce County? What are 2 or 3 things that we could focus in on, that we should be focusing in on? And I wanted to make sure that we have voices of people with lived experience. I know every single one of the participants, you come here with your own experiences, your own backgrounds, your own knowledge base. And I want you hopefully to feel comfortable and offer those insights in this conversation, because in order to make solid change that's long lasting, that's impactful, we need to make sure that all of our conversations and all of our actions center and include the folks with lived experiences. We can't make a decision about mental health care without talking to people who have mental illnesses, that have behavioral needs. We can't do that. So today, to kind of kick off the conversation, and I encourage you all to include Marvin and Amanda in the conversation, to ask them questions to help clarify and make your points a little bit more specific. But again, Heather McGee opens her book with, why can't we have nice things? So based on your own experiences, based on the experiences of Marvin and Amanda that you heard today, what are some of those nice things here in Pierce County that we don't have? And what's preventing us from having them?
If I can say, I used to think having nice things is everything that's materialistic. You know, me personally, to have nice things, it's just more like having my pride of who I am. My nice things is having a clear mind. My nice thing is having a well-being to move forward and able to take care of myself day in, day out. Everything around me is just materialistics of just what? It's just nice things come and go. So I had to look at nice things that is personal to me, that stays with me, like my education, my family, my friend, my sobriety, my health. That's all the nice things I want to carry with me all the way till I die. So why cannot we have nice things? It's because we probably don't take care of ourselves. And it probably is how you look at nice things. What do nice things mean to you? Nice things mean to me is just everything that's personal to build me better. Those my nice things. Those are the things I like to cherish as my nice things. So that's what I like to say. That's mine.
I have a question for you, Marvin.
Yes.
I work at TCC in workforce education, so I just want to say hello. But also, we talk a lot about knowing resources to give students or to give community members, and we talk a lot about knowing those resources. But you touched a little bit in your story about what it was like. What is it like to be handed 5 flyers from 5 different agencies and telling you to go somewhere and just check out all the resources? What is the best way to actually deliver that information and those services to you? Is it helpful to hand you a bunch of flyers, or can you talk a little bit about what it's like to navigate that?
When I was getting handed all of the flyers, it was overwhelming, because you got to think about it. I'm out there on drugs. You about to hand me a whole lot of flyers and just assume I'm about to read it and then go follow through with it. The moment you hand me to my hands, I'm already thinking about where I throw it in the trash at, because I don't want to carry nothing. There's some places like an activity houses, when I started putting my name on housing, they actually had a booth sitting in there that kind of made me sit there and talk, and they went hand in hand. Not only they handed me flyers, they put in my name on lists. They're taking my information now. They doing more than just handing me a flyer, because about 90% of everybody who's homeless is on drugs. And you got to be mindful, like you about to hand people some paper, which they don't want to carry, and expect them to read it and then go follow through with it. It's more beneficial for you to sit there with them, talk about it, and try to sign them up right then and there, instead of just handing them a bunch of flyers and say, hey, here you go, read this, and hopefully you'll come back.
I would 1,000% agree. Go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, I'm going to be 100% honest with all of you. When we got handed flyers, as soon as whoever handed it to us walked away, we laughed. And we're like, what are we going to do with it this time, guys? And we've started fires with them. We've done drugs with them. It's not, we can't do anything with a flyer. We don't have a fridge to put it on. We can't keep track of our own belongings most of the time. What I found that was most beneficial was when the resources were brought to us. Not, hey, come over here, check this out. Say, I know you guys sit here all day, every day, because every town has the spot where they congregate. Here you go. We brought it to you. Once upon a time, there was a dental van that went through Kent, Auburn, Seattle, and it would come every other week. That was so helpful. And on its off weeks, we had the medical van. You know, nobody was going to the, you know, CMAR offices or the country doctor. I don't know if the country doctor is still a thing in Seattle, but, you know, we weren't going there unless we absolutely positively needed to. Another thing I found really helpful too was that Berkeley College has a drop-in center that they fund. And part of this drop-in center is that they provide massages, acupuncture, and foot baths. You know how much easier it is to stop and think, well, hey, maybe I should try to sign up for housing or something. When somebody has taken the time to help you relax, to take off some of the stress, to clear your mind a little bit. I mean, you're living in a constant fight or flight mode when you're on the streets. It is very difficult to settle those brain chemicals down enough to think reasonably and rationally enough to take advantage of these services. But to have just that little extra, you know, and to put the attention on the mental health, or to have the massage therapist look at me and go, you carry a really heavy backpack, don't you? It's like, yeah, I got a bag of dog food in it, you know, and just recognizing those small things really opens up to a lot more. You know, we need more focus on the mental health aspect of it, and how to help people get into a place to where they're no longer thinking emotionally, but they're thinking rationally.
I think you both kind of answered the question, why can't we have nice things? Because we as service providers, as program administrators, we come at it from our perspective and what's easiest for us, and we don't take into consideration what's easiest for the people we are serving. And how do we meet you where you are at physically, geographically, and mentally? How do we meet you where you're at? Once we can break down that barrier as people of privilege, it makes it easier for us to then say, okay, we've given, you know, Marvin and Amanda the resources that they needed. We met them literally where we know that they're going to be. We're there every day reminding them that we're here to support them, to help them, to uplift them. Now, what's our next step? You know, now that we've broken down that barrier and said, you and I are the same, and you and I need to have access to the same things in order to achieve success, you know, that's when we start working towards that solidarity dividend, where everybody is buying into the system, putting extra into the system so that other folks who don't have suddenly do have.
May I add something?
Yes, please do.
Thank you. I'll tell you where the biggest challenge for me with zero-sum thinking is when it comes to time. Sometimes I feel like if I give time here, I lose it over there. And, you know, I'm the one that, you know, suffers, or my organization or my title or whatever. And I want to combat that, because I think when it comes to serving people well, we have to really grapple with time, taking the time, investing the time. I have appreciated these speakers so much, and what I heard maybe below the surface was that when folks gave you the time to settle and to kind of get out of that fight or flight, mode and really be heard. All of that takes time. And so I just want to throw that out there, that I just feel like so much change can happen if we allow the time and give ourselves permission and just recognize how healing it is.
That was well said. I don't know who spoke. You popped up on my screen and then disappeared, but that was beautifully said.
My name is Bethel.
Thank you. Thank you, Bethel. Yeah, time is our biggest commodity. What are the phrases? Time is money, time is power. And if you're sharing time, like that is sometimes the biggest gift that you can give somebody is the gift of your time, your attention. But you do have to balance it. You do have to, you have to take care of yourself as well.
A brief comment, Jim Walton. To Amanda and Marvin, this has been the best part of this whole activity for me. Your messages were very, very powerful. And it suggests to me that those of us, good intentions and et cetera, but we need to listen to people who is experiencing what we're trying to deal with. Give them credit for knowing what works best on the ground. Amanda talking about the foot massage or soaks and all of that kind of stuff. I never would have thought of that. And then I think earlier in our seminar, didn't we just award some money to an organization for some flyers? I mean, we just need to listen to the people that is living the experience and give them credit for understanding what is going on in their world, and how you approach and how you treat them is nothing revolutionary about it. It is just taking the time to understand and respond to what might be real. This has been a good session, simply because it says to me, sometimes we just need to slow down and listen and hear people where they are, as opposed to us trying to envision where they need to be and try to put them on that pathway. Just treat them as an equal human being and just listen. Listening is so hard, to really listen, to understand and learn from what other people are saying, as opposed to preparing my response. So thank you so much for sharing that. But what is unclear to me, Amanda, what you are doing now, would you share that with us?
Well, what am I not doing now? I recently had a baby, my second one. She's almost a year old. I have a 5-year-old. I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I've been working with the Pierce County Community Engagement Task Force for the past 2 years. This past year has been focused on building and creating the Speakers Bureau so we can bring stories like Marvin's and my own to you. And I've been doing classes at TCC, slowly working towards my degree what time I have. And I also just recently got a job with Coors Mill Construction. I'm very busy. I don't stop.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Good for you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much. So we have about 4 minutes left. I do want to ask our speakers, I think it's very important, what is something that you hope people will take from today, from listening to you talk, or from today's presentation, from the Heather McKee keynote speaker, or whatever? What is something you hope that we'll take away today?
That we can break down the barriers towards not only just home, let me just be straight up, break down the barriers of African Americans of being homeless, being gay, being incarcerated, being part of the system. Knock down barriers of not having other resources for young adults, more so for the main adults that are here. Be more mindful of how people's life is changing, and don't look at us as an outsider and thinking that our life is not meant nothing. All we trying to do is ruin our life. Maybe if, you know, if people take the time, like it is time to understand where we're at in life, maybe that one person who's listening can change that person's life. You know, just be more mindful of people's thoughts, understanding what their life is. You know, being homeless and incarcerated on drugs, yes, we're backwards, confused, lost. But, you know, if you can be that one voice that we can follow out that darkness, then give that time and yell out that voice. Somebody will hear that voice and follow you out to that light. Trust me, I know it from experience.
The thing that I hope people take from this is that everybody is coming from a different situation. Even though it may look the same on the outside, on the inside, when you dig deep down, it's different. Everybody needs something different to help them overcome their challenges. And I just hope that, you know, these conversations build a general empathy towards people who are struggling, and that instead of seeing the dirty person acting erratically on the street when you know they're high and thinking, oh no, we're posting silly videos, instead you look at that and say, I wonder what they need to feel safe. I wonder what they need to feel secure so that they can receive and get their basic unalienable rights and needs in order to become better. Because that person who's talking to 5 other people and is high on drugs could solve cancer if only we take the time to see them for who they are and show up in the way that they need. That's all I hope you guys get for it. That's all.
Oh, again, you both are amazing, amazing people, amazing speakers. You are aspirational. I want to make sure that I put this in the chat as we close out today. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Marvin and Amanda, for sharing your stories. They are a part of the Pierce County Community Engagement Task Force Speakers Bureau, and you can look at the link and to learn more about them or to invite them to one of your presentations. So, got a couple seconds. Thank you all again for being a part of this panel discussion. Thank you for being vulnerable, thank you for being open, listening, and I hope that you're able to take something away today that will inspire you to maybe do something a little bit different this week. Help someone that you normally wouldn't help. Look at someone a little differently. Listen to them a little bit.